what time it is. Marvin Devine, Huber, Axel, and you know how we do. Yeah, I got the juice. Big game cool, make them look like cool. Always playing cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing. Like 22. Ask me how I made it right here in the booth. I'm always pursued cause of what I pursue. That's greatness, yeah, I gotta make it, I got things to lose. Boy, wanna get in my crew, but you can't get in my crew. Me, XL, and Huber, way too fireable. When this joint drop, better call the troops. And when you hear the drop, better raise the roof. Better raise the roof. You already know what happens when we link up. Let's go. Yeah, I got the juice. Yeah, I got the juice. Big game cool, make them look like cool. Always playing cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, episode 259. We are back, and I want to welcome in first-time guest to the podcast, two-time Emmy-winning producer, but at the same time, my cousin, Sara Krupnick. Sara, what's going on? Thanks for joining the podcast first time.
Yeah, thanks for having me all the way from the West Coast. I know you guys miss me in Philly, but thankfully I get to come back quite a bit. But yeah, I'm just really excited to be on your podcast. I'm very proud of you for doing this, so it's great.
Yeah, you're only the third family member. Dylan's been on before, like once or twice. It's actually been a while since he's been on, like a few years. But Nina's been on a few times too. So yeah, excited to have you on. Both Philly born and raised, but Sara, we're gonna walk through her journey tonight, basically, where she started, where she got her interest in her field that she's in now. We'll talk about like her journey to the West Coast, and then kind of like things that she's working on now, and like what the future holds. So excited to go through all this. I'm probably, and like I said, I told you before we started, I'm probably gonna learn a lot of things too through this. Yeah, so we'll jump right into it, guys. I'm just gonna, say the opening credits and lines. If you're watching on YouTube, you already know what to do. If you're not already subscribed and you like this type of content, hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell in the corner, turn those notifications on. Release content every single week, typically on Thursdays around this time slot. If you like personal growth content, you don't want to miss that. Sometimes we talk sports, majority personal growth. If you're watching on Facebook, I'm assuming you're already part of the community, so thank you for that. Just like on YouTube, though, hit that like button. Really helps us out with the algorithm, and it helps push this content out to people who need to see it. If you want to comment in tonight, guys, on YouTube, I'll break it down for you guys. If you're not like somebody who watches regularly on YouTube, I can throw your comments right up on the screen. Facebook, due to meta privacy concerns, I can still read your comments out loud, just can't throw them up on the screen. And with that being said, enjoy the podcast, guys. Let's jump into it. All right, Sara. So I'll start right off. Like I said, we're both Philly born and raised. I guess the most obvious.
Philly.
What's that? Northeast Philly.
Northeast Philly.
Yep. You have to it's funny. I was talking to somebody about that last weekend who's like not from Philly and like was in Philly. And they were like, I never knew Philly had like so many sections. I was like, it does. It's not as big as New York, but it is still, it's still big. A lot of sections. You have Northeast, you have West, you have North, Center City, South Philly, Southwest. It's crazy. It's big. A lot of sections. So Philly born and raised. What, I guess the most obvious question where I'll start here is, what kind of got you into film, into production and things like that? What made you kind of want to get into that field?
So this all stems back to when I was a toddler, and my father would let me watch all these amazing action and sci-fi movies. A lot of them were with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I just became obsessed with movies. And from the time I was 5, I would choose what I wanted to be when I grew up through watching movies. I saw Jurassic Park when I was 5, and I was like, oh, I want to be a paleontologist. And then I saw Jaws when I was 6 or 7, and I was like, wait, now I want to be a marine biologist, and I want to study sharks. And I was like, Mom, what's that? She's like, oh, that's an ichthyologist. And then when I was 11 is when the first Lord of the Rings movie came out, and it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, no, I want to be a movie director, a movie producer, because then all the things I love, I can make movies about all this different content. So then from the time I was 11 years old, you might even remember from the time you were a kid, I told everybody, I'm going to move to California and I'm going to work in movies and TV. And I'm telling you, it started when I was like a tiny little kid.
Yep, I do remember that. I do. I think even one time I remember you like we used to have like family parties and stuff, but I remember the one time I think you were actually watching me and Dylan. We were playing Lord of the Rings. I think actually the video game for PlayStation 2. I think it was Twin Towers or something like that. Yep. Like in the basement. I think you had said that, but I always knew that was like your goal, and you eventually got there. I know we'll break down your journey. I know you went from Philly to New York. You lived in New York for a little bit, and then you made your journey out to the West Coast. So proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was when I was a kid, I feel like everyone in the family was like, oh, so cool, you want to work in the movies. And then as I got older, everyone got a little scared. They're like, we don't really have anyone in the family that does this. How are you going to break into it? So, it was really an uphill battle, like every way. And I really, Temple University really was the first place to start to open doors for me, quite honestly, in the industry. So. Yeah, because it's like it is like one of those careers, like say somebody who's like a sports professional. I won't say like athlete or something like that, but people have goals to get into like sports media or become like, oh, I'm gonna be somebody on ESPN, right? Or I'm gonna be somebody else. It's great dreams to have. It's if you don't have the connections early on, it's a very tough like uphill battle. So honestly, I can imagine the grit that it took to get where you're at today, and it's all the silent things that kind of go on behind the scenes that people don't see. So very impressive, because I can imagine a lot of people, they typically, it's not that they want to like kind of keep your, shatter your dreams or anything, but they're like, oh, do you have like a safety plan? Do you have this? People like, they worry, they want you to have like something stable, but you went after what you wanted, and look where you're at. And it's just, journey's just beginning. I'll never forget when I was 16, which was when I decided I was going to go to film school, and ended up going to Temple's film school. My one uncle at one of our family parties took me outside, and he was like, Sarah, I know you really want to be a filmmaker, but you do realize that the only people that make it in that industry are the friends, family members of people like Steven Spielberg. And I said, listen, one day when I win an Oscar, I will recall this conversation where you told me when I was 16, I don't know how you're going to do this. He was like, you're smart. You could be a doctor. You could be a lawyer. And I was like, I don't want to do any of those things. It's not what they're wonderful careers. And I laud anyone that does that for a living, because we need those people. But I just always knew in my heart and my soul that I was destined to do this, and I'll never forget. It was about 10 years after we had that combo. So I was like 26, and it was at another family dinner. It was on my dad's side. And at the time, I had just done a show where I was the unit production manager on a documentary that was executive produced by Steven Spielberg. And he told everyone at the family, like, I am so proud of you. And I was like, thank you. So, it's, I feel like any people that have been like, I don't know if you're going to make it, it just kind of gave me more fuel for the fire to just do what I've always wanted to do with my life, and I will say that this wasn't a linear trajectory. There's no manual for how to make it in the entertainment industry. It's kind of like everyone's choose your own adventure, and when opportunities come in your path, you have to know how to go after them, or they will just quickly leave you as quickly as they came. And for me, it kind of all started when I decided to go to film school at Temple. And then I interned in the camera department at NFL Films. And that was where I really started to get real on-set experience. I also did a lot of independent films when I was 18, 19. And then when I was 20 was when I got the internship at NFL Films. And that allowed me, when I graduated, they asked me to come back and work in the camera department for a season. And then from there, I got onto a big movie set. My first big movie set was Safe. It was a Jason Statham movie that was shot in Philly. And for a long time, I thought I wanted to work in the camera department and become a cinematographer. And I ended up hurting my knee on that movie. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? And one of the camera guys who I just recently worked with on the show I'm on now, he was like, Sarah, you're really great at like leading people, and you're nice and you're fair and you're smart. He was like, you should be a producer. And he said that to me when I was 21. And I was like, And I thought about it. And then an opportunity came my way to work in the production management department. And that's kind of where you get the building blocks to be a producer. And I literally worked my way up from an office PA to a production coordinator, to production manager, to production supervisor, to a line producer. And then a couple of years ago is when I was hired to be the staff executive in charge at Time, where I oversaw all of production for all the documentaries. And then after being there for a year, they promoted me to be the head of production, and I oversaw all the departments there. And it's really been like when I was on set a couple of weeks ago with this camera guy, his name's Leon, it was like a full circle moment where I was like, Leon, this is your fault why I became a producer. You were the one that said it to me years ago. And here I am now. And he tells me how like proud he is of me. And it's just really nice, like the hard work really paid off. And like I said, it wasn't all like straight like this. There were moments where I was at certain places and they were downsizing because the industry was slow, and I would get laid off. It's happened to me twice, and I had to like kind of reinvent myself and go be freelance again. So, you really have to be very resilient in this industry, and you can't be scared of adversity, because even right now, the whole industry is going through this like crazy paradigm shift. And it's been just interesting to watch everything kind of change every day with what people want to see and content. And so like scripted and documentary has really shrunk, and it's not like booming as much as it was. And the things that are doing really well now is like live TV, sports, and social media content. So, that's what I've been telling people. Like, if your career feels kind of like stalemated right now, try to get into those other avenues where it just keeps growing like crazy. It's wild. I mean, look what just happened recently with these famous YouTubers who got these big movie deals, so.
Yeah. Yep. Some people that are like in big movies now, like you see like Netflix movies and stuff that were like, remember when Vine was popular?
Yep.
They were like Viners, like, when it started. So it's for sure just it's like anything, it's an adapting industry. So you have to be able to adapt. I think that's awesome. The whole start with NFL Films, everything like that. I actually had a mentor that worked with them for 10 years, and like the amount of doors that it opened for him, like working the connections and stuff, is amazing. So he took it as like an internship. It wasn't paid for it, and people told him at the time something like he had a good paying job somewhere. They're like, why would you take a non-paying job and stuff? And he's just like, the amount of networking that I can do here. Like, you have to understand like what this can do. Like, it's like invaluable. Like, it's like, you can't put a price on that. Like, so yeah, it's like you said, you have to like that type of industry, you have to put yourself out there. You can't be afraid of adversity. And people like going back to like the whole Steven Spielberg comment, well, where did he start? Right? Like, everybody has to start somewhere. And I think if you can network appropriately, if you're not afraid to put yourself out there, you're willing to do that, you can achieve almost anything you want. You just have to be willing to not be afraid of like criticism, be afraid of adversity, and just put yourself out there.
100%. I tell people that all the time. You have to go out there and you have to network, especially living out here in LA. There's so many networking opportunities and they have film festivals all the time. And I now live less than a mile from the TV Academy and I'm a member of the TV Academy because of the Emmys that I won. I can now walk to the TV Academy and go to the events. It's awesome. I'll be like, oh, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Just going to walk from my house.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's I'm like to the roots part of it, like how pivotal was like Temple, like in like your journey there, like starting there, like because I know Temple's got great resources. I know even Dylan, like he wasn't for film, but he went for like communications and stuff, and they had great resources that he could use. Like how pivotal was that?
Yeah, so Temple is a very well-known film and media school. So it was one of my top choices when I was figuring out where I wanted to go for college. And they really laid a wonderful foundation for me of all their theoretical knowledge courses on filmmaking. But then I would say the best part of Temple was the networking and all the friends that I made there and all the independent film sets I got to work on. I still keep in touch with a lot of my classmates. Many of the people that worked on my senior thesis film went on to actually do those roles professionally and joined those unions. So it was just really wonderful to see that for everyone there. But yeah, I mean, also just Philadelphia itself is such a great place to build like strength and character. You know, we're such we're people that like doesn't take no for an answer. And if we have an obstacle, we will work as hard as we can to figure out how to solve it. And we reach out to our community to help us with all our issues. And that was the same foundation that was at Temple. So I actually, I think it was last year, I got to go back and speak to some of the students there in a videography class. So that was really fun to do and just try to like inspire them. And they had a lot of questions. They were like, oh, what did you do after you graduated? So I like told them a bit about that. And I said, you know, again, network, and don't be afraid to reach out to people through LinkedIn. You know, I have students reach out to me all the time on LinkedIn. I obviously can't get to like all of them, but I try to meet up with a couple of them and do like a coffee where I'll ask them about like their career aspirations and try to help guide them. And I'll be like, you know, keep in touch with me. Love to, you know, answer questions for you because I was in their shoes, you know, years ago. And the only reason why I am where I am is because of like all the wonderful people that mentored me and gave me advice and guidance. So
that's awesome. Yeah. And I think that's one of the best things is to be able to like give back like that. Like it's like you know, you're on your journey and you've achieved what you've achieved and then be able to kind of give that back to like the people that are also interested in that. I think that's amazing. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's but you're right. Philly has a certain level of grit for sure. Mm-hmm. Like a certain level of toughness. Like we you're right, we don't take no for an answer. We're very resilient. It's definitely a tough city. Oh, there's a lot. I just say there's a lot of big cities out there, but Philly is definitely very unique and very unique in how it is. Just but yeah, it definitely looks like you said closed mouths don't get fed. You know, you have to put yourself out there. But yeah, what a transition. What a transition to be able to kind of shift from like the start here to the West Coast. And I'm gonna get to that next. So that's one thing I wanted to ask. So I can imagine like well, I guess we could also talk about like you went to New York for a little bit too. So like even that, you're still East Coast, but what was that transition like going from like Philly to New York? And then we can talk like the West Coast transition.
Yeah. So that was in 2016 for me. I kind of knew that if I wanted my career to, you know, keep moving up, I really needed to leave Philly and go to New York or LA. And New York is only 90 minutes away. I was like, oh, that's not such a hard transition. But I honestly, it was like spring of 2016. I applied to so many jobs in LA and New York. And then I got an interview to be a production manager on a show in New York called Flea Market Flip. And I got the job and I was like, all right. I was like, hey, fam, moving to New York. And they're like, what? And I was like, yup. And I just packed up a truck with all my stuff because it had been in storage. I had left my Philly apartment and just drove up. One of my other cousins helped me. We drove up and I lived in New York. It was June 2016 until I think it was January of 2019. So I was there for a while and I worked on a bunch of cool shows. While I was there is when I got a job to be a unit production manager and then a line producer at Jigsaw Productions, which is Alex Gibney's company. And he's a very famous documentary director. He did the Scientology documentary that was on HBO. He's done so many famous ones. And working there like really laid such a solid foundation for me to continue to do like premier prestige documentaries. So I loved my time in New York. I had a really good time there. And like I said, it really created the foundational building blocks for me to become a producer. So yeah, I was there. Well, the other side of the story is I ended up getting really sick while I lived there. So that's actually why I left New York. So I have a rare disease called mast cell activation syndrome, but it's not so rare anymore. They think like 1 in 5 people has it. But while I was living in New York, I got really sick and I just couldn't handle, how you have to take the subway all the time and things of that nature. So that's why I ended up leaving and moving back to Philly. And then I would go to New York like a couple days a week to talk about resilience. Like I thought I was going to have to like retire at 30 years old from what happened to me, but thankfully I'm okay now. And then, then I was living in Philly for most of that year. And then in September, I got asked to be the production supervisor on a show in Nashville. So I did that for 3 months. My life is like all over the place, moving all around. And then from there, I went to stay with my dad for a bit in Florida. And then I got hired to do the cheerleading show Cheer for Netflix. And that was around February of 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020. So I was in Texas, in Corsicana, Texas. It's this little small town outside of Dallas for Cheer. And then the pandemic happened. And so then I ended up going back to Florida with my dad while literally everything shut down, as we all know. I think that's when you started this podcast, actually. Right?
Yeah. It was September 2020. Yeah.
Yep. And then while I was with my dad in Florida, I was like, pandemic. A lot of people are probably leaving LA. I bet rent's really cheap. And then one of my coworkers from Cheer was like, yo, Sarah, the apartment next to me just opened up in Playa del Rey, which is a beach town in LA. And I said, huh. And I said, you know what, Dad, Mom, and Mia, I'm going to move to LA finally. And they were like, excuse me? It's a pandemic. And I said, yup. And I said, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die in LA. And they were like, you're nuts. And I was like, tell me something we didn't know. And that's when I moved to LA. It was June of 2020. And I literally moved out here, Stephen, with no job. And within a week, I was getting calls. I was getting booked. And yeah, it was crazy. So never looked back since. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Sometimes that's what it is. It's the leap of faith. Like literally, see, like it's literally a leap of faith. And it's like, but it's a lot of times, like, in your heart, like I have to make this move. Like you feel it. And it's like, that's awesome. What a transition, like during the pandemic, because I didn't like fully know that. Like I had to think back at the time and like when you lived in New York and then like when the pandemic hit and all that. But that was when the move happened, like right around. I thought it was kind of around the pandemic. I just didn't know when. So I'm like, okay, so
literally
that makes
3 months in. It was like June. It was like mid-June, and everyone was like, Sarah, what are you doing? And I was like, I have a lot of friends in LA. I'll be okay. And when I moved here was when things started to slowly like open back up. So yeah, it was crazy. I look back on it now. I'm like, man, that was a big risk. It really was.
Yeah. But you know what? It all worked out. Sometimes that's what it is. It's just that leap of faith. You have to trust, you know what I mean? If you feel the call, and it's like a lot of people don't like make their moves or like go towards what they really want, because that's the biggest battle is our own minds. And it's fear a lot of times, right? Like and I say there's no bigger person there's nothing that's going to be more against you than your own mind. That's your biggest battle. So you have to sometimes just face those fears. But and that would have been like the worst case thing is like you go out there, it doesn't work out, and then like eventually you move back, right? Like at least you went, right? Like at least you took the plunge.
I don't think I could have lived with myself if I didn't try, to be honest with you. And when I got really sick, I was faced with like my mortality, and I was like, well, I don't know how long I have. Thankfully, like things are good now, but that kind of really was a slap in the face for me and a wake up call that like, hey, you really need to go after what you want in this life, because not every day is granted to every single one of us. I literally live my life now. Like every day is honestly a gift, and you really have to make the most of this life. And if you have goals and things that you want to attain, you really have to go after them. And like you said, you can't live in the face of fear. And if you have a strong community, you know, they will help you rise up and like get through things. So.
Yep. We were put, I just firmly believe that God put every single person here, and there's a purpose. There's a purpose behind why every person is here, to reach somebody, to help people. It's like everybody's here for a reason. So it's a great mindset. You know, you wake up every single day, every day, the ability to move your body, to work hard, to, you know, be able to live life. There's so many people that wish they had that, you know, so that aren't here anymore.
I agree.
I was gonna ask, like, what was the cultural shift like when you moved to like West Coast, like California? I know New York is a little different to Philly. It's still every city is unique, you know, for sure. But like moving to the West Coast had to been like a much bigger like cultural shift. Like, what was that like when you like got over there?
You know, what I loved about it is because I am so like East Coast, you know, and sometimes they'll call us, you know, a little aggressive or however you want to say. They're much more laid back here. And I think it's been really good for me personally to learn to like take it a little easier, take life a little slower. And it's a very big community out here of like being in touch with nature. And we have such beautiful different places to visit here for like hiking and the beach. So I really think it's been really good for me personally to be in this kind of environment, especially because I'm in such a fast-paced, crazy industry that, you know, when I step outside, I have all these, you know, I'm like, right now I'm in the valley, you know, and I have all these awesome hills all around me. And if I want to drive an hour, then I can be at the beach. So, and there's a lot, you know, what I like about LA is you have a lot of space here. Like in New York, you don't get as much space, which is one thing I don't miss about New York. But here in LA, like my place is like a really decent size. I actually have a yard, which is great for me and my dog. And yeah, I just kind of like really enjoy the pace of life here and the weather. I do think the weather makes people much happier because we get so much sunshine, which is really nice. So, yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed the change in lifestyle for sure.
That's good. Yeah. Polar opposite weather than from a little bit up north on that West Coast home and in Seattle with the constant clouds and rain.
Yeah.
I was always curious about that, like with the how the pace of life was out there, because like I know LA, like you hear like similar traffic patterns to New York and stuff, so it's a lot slower. It's so New York is a faster pace environment for sure.
Yes, but if we're talking about traffic, the worst traffic I've ever experienced in my life is here in Los Angeles. You can leave your house at 8 a.m. and assume it's rush hour, you're going to hit traffic. You can leave your house at 1. Assume traffic. It's like, and we always say out here, the biggest sign of you loving someone is you picking them up at LAX, because LAX is hell on earth.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
And I've picked up many people that I love there, and I'm like, I really love you because here I am grabbing you.
It's like my patience is tested today.
100%.
But that's good to know. Yeah, I like actually I met somebody there's some guests like throughout the country that have come on this podcast, but one of my close guys that I actually met on this podcast, this guy Zach, he lives in California. I want to say he lives, I don't want to butcher where he like where he lives in California, but I know it's not LA, but he lives in California too, and he is a mountain biker. So he's got a lot of terrain to ride around, and like it's like so cool. I love nature too personally. Like I like hiking, I like all this stuff. So yeah, I was like I'm jealous. You got all this land out there.
You have to come visit sometime.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely have to make it out, because crazy as it sounds, like I've been to other countries. I've never been. I was just telling someone this past weekend, I've never been to California. Like I've been out of the country, never been to California. Like it's crazy.
What are you waiting for? And you let me know.
Right. I got to make my way out there. And I know Mia's been out there, you know, to visit you. And yeah, I think Nina's been there too. I don't think Dylan has ever been there either. He's been to Vegas though, which is close, but
very different than LA. But yes.
Very different. Yeah, so that's interesting on the cultural side of it. I might. So I guess this is another part I wanted to go into. So how did you get so you won 2 Emmys. One of them was through one of the shows on Prime Video. One of them was on Netflix. How did you how did you get your foot in the door with like a global like streaming service like Netflix? Like, how did you get your foot in the door with that?
So ever since I was a production coordinator, I started working on like the streaming network shows. So the first show I was a production coordinator on was on, I believe it was on Animal Planet. And
Okay.
then when I moved to New York, the show I did was on HGTV. And so, you get all these like streaming credits. And when I went to Jigsaw Productions is when I did my first Netflix show. So I did quite a few Netflix shows there. And, once you do a few of them and they do well, they like always remember you, and like your name will like be on a list of like, oh, these are all approved people that we would love to have do future shows for us. So yeah. And I'm trying to think when I did my first Amazon show. I think my first Amazon show was when I was actually with Time. But yeah, I've done a ton of Netflix shows. Like most of my production management and line producing, head of production stuff was all like Netflix shows, tons of Netflix shows.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. That's good. It's good to know. I guess too, so like I said, you have your 2 Emmys. What made like those 2 shows? So one of them is The Rise and Fall of Juul. That was a Netflix show. And then the other one was on Frida, that was on Prime Video. Yes. What out of like all the because I know you've worked on a lot of projects. What out of like those projects were like special compared to some of the other ones that you worked on?
I think for Big Vape, The Rise and Fall of Juul, that was such a bombshell case with what happened in the vaping industry. And if you haven't seen that documentary, or if you know anyone that vapes, they should really watch it. And I would hope they wouldn't vape anymore after watching it. But it was such an expose of what occurred, with Juul, and the show was done in a really like cinematic way. And I think it really resonated with a lot of people, and then Frida is a project that I am so incredibly proud of. She's an artist who I really look up to. She's iconic. She's also a disabled woman, as am I, and she's huge in the disability community. And that was such a special project for me to work on. And that movie was all told through her own voice, through her journals. And we hired an actor to, recreate her voice and read all her journals. And that movie is done so beautifully with animation. And our director, Carla, is the one, she won the Emmy for Best Directing. And that movie is just, it's really a masterpiece, honestly is. And I know my mom really loved that movie too. So I'm very, very proud of that one for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I was curious because I was like, obviously, I know that there's a ton of projects that you worked on. There's probably other ones too that probably could have had Emmys too. Is like, but I was just curious, like, on like what kind of made those ones stand out. What else I have? So and also, I guess like, so your first Emmy was Juul, was Big Vape, right? Like that was the first one you had won. What was that experience like receiving like your first Emmy? Like what was that feeling like?
Well, I wasn't there. I found out through the internet and through like a press release, and I was like, oh, I got an Emmy, and I was like, oh my God, like this is I didn't even know what to do. You kind of see it on paper and you're like, wow, it's just such an amazing thing. And I don't know if you know this, I might have told you. So when I ordered the statue, I ordered it, I think it was in November. The day it got delivered was the day of my mom's funeral in Philly. So we were all at the funeral lunch, and Ben, my partner, he called me and he was like, Sarah, it's here. And I was like, oh my God. And I had him like open it on FaceTime, and I like showed everyone at the luncheon. And I really honestly like saw that as a sign that it came today. And I was like, Mom is like really watching over, and she's like so proud. And, that's something that I'll never forget ever in my life. And it's just like it was a very sad and beautiful moment at the same time, so.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that I for sure look at that as like a sign. Like, what are the odds of the timing of that? Like, it
was supposed to come earlier. So during that time was also when the fires broke out here. When we had those horrible fires in January 2025, it was supposed to come earlier. And then it kept getting delayed, and then ended up coming on that day. So yeah, for sure. Talk about like a sign from God and the universe. I was like, okay.
All right, Mom, I see you.
Yep, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, Yeah, she'd be really proud. She got to say, yeah, so she would be really proud of you seeing
You
you
know,
having the Emmy.
yeah,
Yeah.
she knew I won the Emmy, but yeah, she didn't get to see me like with
See
the
the
statue.
whole-
She knew, yeah.
Yeah, so that's for sure good. I guess like the post like kind of Emmy shift, like does it kind of raise the stakes for like any like future projects that like go on now? Like now you've won like your 2 hour, to make you hungry to win like more. I know we were talking about a potential project obviously that you're working on right now. It's up to you if you want to dive into what you're working on now.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes, it made me want more. So I hope and pray that I could get an EGOT. We'll see. That's like the most ambitious and hardest thing to win in the entertainment industry. It's an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. So we'll see. Because I also want to get into working on musicals. But yeah, like right now, I'm working with the largest soccer media network in America called Men in Blazers, and I'm helping to oversee all their shows surrounding the World Cup that's going on right now. And I'm hoping that things will go super well. The shows seem to be received really well all over the streaming platforms, and I'm like hoping that we get nominated for a sports Emmy. That would be amazing. But yeah, I mean, it's not always just about winning these awards. Like I really enjoy all the teams that I get to help build and oversee from the very beginning till the end when everything wraps out. So, it's just really great memories. And I'm proud of all the things that I've done, quite honestly, because it is really hard to make film and TV and broadcast. So everyone puts in so much work to make these shows. And at the end of the day, when they're live or you get to see them in the theaters or stream them at home, it's something to like be really, really proud of, for all your hard work and efforts.
Yeah. You see those end credits and it's so many names. It just goes to show like all the people that go into a movie or a show and everything behind that. That is crazy. But and that's the thing too, like being proud of like your accomplishments and loving what you do. I think that's where like awards come. It's like it's just like in a career, right? When people want to make a lot of money like from their business, like it comes from the actual passion of being passionate about what you do and bringing quality work, and like that's where that all comes from. So it's like, it's the stuff behind the scenes that people don't see regularly. People obviously can see from the outside, okay, you've won 2 Emmys, but it's like nobody sees all the other projects that like all the work that kind of led up to those, it's a lot of stuff, a lot of grit, a lot of tenacity. It's the Philly. It's that Philly background. But that's awesome because it's like I said from the beginning, like it takes a lot for somebody to really like follow their dream and like go after. So like to be where you're at now, super cool.
Thank you.
Super cool. I guess the part to kind of bring things home. If you had advice, like say I know you, like you said, you go back to Temple, you'll visit with you would visit with students, or you'll just talk to people from LinkedIn and be able to kind of sit down with people and kind of help to guide them. What advice would you give to like, I guess the younger generation who's looking to get into like film and media? Like what advice would you give them?
So number one advice, if you can, I would go to film school or at least take some filmmaking classes and figure out what it is you love about filmmaking, whether it be a cinematographer, director, producer, see where like you feel like you fit in. And in order to find that out, a lot of the time you have to go on set. So being a production assistant is like a great thing because when you get to be on set and you get to see kind of what all the departments do, and you'll get to be like, I think I'm interested in this or that. And then ask people to meet up for a coffee or a phone call or a virtual chat, just to kind of like just pick their brain, and you will naturally and organically find people who want to help you or be a mentor and who will guide you. And also, get out there and network like we were speaking about before. Go to film festivals, go to local filmmaking events in your community, join different groups on the internet for filmmaking, meet up with people in the community. That's how you're going to build your roster and your network. And eventually they'll be the people you work with on your sets and your crews. So it's like filmmaking is such a team sport. It really is. You really have to, put yourself out there and not be afraid to like go to these different things. So if you're shy, try to like work through it. You'll be all right. Bring a friend with you to the events. But yeah.
Yep. That communication skills so important to be able to kind of build it up. Yep.
I'm shy, believe it or not.
Yeah, everybody starts somewhere. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like I can tell you, like, starting this podcast, like, if I have the first episode, it actually was never a live stream. It was a pre-recorded episode that I used to do with my former podcast co-host. And I was actually telling him, like, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I sent him, like, the first episode ever that, like, we did when we first had done this. And it was just crazy how different the demeanor was and, like, the quality and everything, like, so it's just about putting yourself out there as you meet people, as you network. Yep. It's like a muscle, you grow it over time, you build it. But yeah, in this industry for sure, it's an industry where you definitely have to put yourself out there. You have to network. Keeping to yourself isn't going to help you.
Mm-mm.
Not
at all.
It definitely won't help. I guess too, another question I wanted to ask was, I can imagine sometimes like working on these sets, like it can be super long, like shifts and things like that. How do you like avoid like burnout, like in those types of situations? Because I can imagine there could be like some really long hours sometimes.
It's a great question. So I've dealt with it in the past, burnout. And I would say it happens to every single person that ever works in this industry. You kind of just have to like pace yourself and know what you can handle because each and every one of us is different. Me, for example, with my disability, I know that, for this show, for example, I knew that it probably wasn't going to be a good idea for me to be out on the road for every single show. So I went to like a handful of them, and if you do a really grueling, tenacious show, maybe try to see if you can take off a month or so afterwards, kind of like build yourself back up. A lot of what I do now is in the production office or my home production office because I'm like overseeing things and overseeing the budgets. So I don't go out on set as often as I used to. I'll kind of just do like visits. But yeah, it's a real thing. And, I really try to like tell my crew, like, please, like, let us know if you need a break or you need a day off or, just want to make sure everyone's okay because it's very important. Like, more important than what you see on the screen, I want to make sure that everyone behind the scenes is like taken care of and accommodated and, able to do their job to their best.
Yep. And that's important because it's, like you said, it's a team effort. If like other people are lacking or they're not like, they're feeling burnout, it's gonna affect, So it's for sure. Your mental health, physical health is so important.
Yes.
In those realms. Another cool thing, like I was wondering, like, what are some of like who are like, at least like personally to you, who are some of the coolest people like you've worked with like in your industry? Like,
ooh, okay, that's a good question. I mean, when I was at NFL Films, it was really cool to work with a lot of the NFL players, so that was really neat. When I was at Time, I oversaw Dirty Pop, the boy band Scam, which was about NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. And I got to meet a couple members of those bands, which, as a child, I was like a huge fan of them. So that was pretty awesome. I worked on the Megan Thee Stallion documentary when I was at Time. So that was cool. I got to go to like one of her big Halloween parties. And that was really neat. Well, let's see what else. I mean, I have stories for days. To be honest, like my first big set I was ever on of the Jason Statham movie. I mean, I think back to just me walking on set and be like, oh my God, I'm finally here. It's like this big, huge movie set. So that was also really cool. I got to work on Limitless for a little bit. I think I did like a week on that show, and that was with Robert De Niro and Bradley Cooper. So that was also pretty awesome. I worked on one of the Spider-Man movies when I was a PA. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Talk about crazy long hours. I think that was like a 16 plus hour long day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Did you work on Transformers too? I don't know why I think I remember that. No, not at all.
I did it, but my friend did. My friend worked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to see what else.
Limitless, I remember.
Yeah, for sure. I got to work on Val Kilmer's documentary. That was one of the jobs I got when I moved out to LA. So I didn't get to meet him, but I did work on that for a little bit. Rest in peace. what else? Let's see. So many things. Yeah. I mean, and then, I did done a ton of big documentaries. And then on my current projects, we've been interviewing so many big celebrities on this show. So, check that out. Lots of cool people. But yeah, no, it's been a really cool career so far, and I can't wait to see what else the future has in store. But yeah, it's been great.
That's awesome. It's definitely a journey. Like you've been in it, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot ahead for you. I hope that you get that what do they call it? An EGOT? It's an EGOT. It's an Emmy, a Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens, because the movie I wrote last year, I'm hoping that that'll do well, and I already have an idea to turn it into a musical. So we will see what happens.
Which one's like the guy? I need to like kind of like do my research more on that. Like obviously I know all the names, but like which one's like for like musicals? Like
Tony's.
Tony, gotcha. That's what I thought it was. I didn't want to like butcher it and be like, yeah, like okay. That's awesome. I think I absolutely believe you can do it. I mean, hey, you still got I feel like you got a lot more in you, and fingers crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed.
I'm rooting for you. And like, who knows? I feel like this journey in this industry, it's like it could just take you so many places. So
you never know where it's going to go. I'm open to all possibilities to see what happens. So
definitely. And then does your partner also work in like the industry too? Yeah, so that's awesome. So it's like how you kind of that's awesome. So you guys can.
He's actually out on the road right now, so I'll see him soon, like next weekend, because I'm going to meet up with them in New York at the show.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's helpful, like in like certain industries. It's like because you're both like kind of in the, a similar industry. That's awesome.
Yes, especially in this industry, because sometimes we have to go away for a month, 2 months, and it's just like having that understanding of what this career is it makes such a big difference. And you really want someone as a partner who, sees what your goals are and your aspirations, and they help build towards you reaching those goals. And yes, I'm very thankful that that's what I have. So it's good.
Absolutely. To be able to have somebody that can relate, for sure, because otherwise if they can't relate or they can't understand, it's like, it just wouldn't work out. You know what I mean? It's just it has to be somebody who can relate and understand. So that's awesome. Which one is that? Is that Chester? Chester.
Yeah. He's like, "Are you done? Take me on a walk." I'm like, "I'll take you."
Tell them your dog's name. Her dog's name is so interesting. The whole it's Chester.
Oh, his name is Chester Cooper Cornell. He's named after Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park, Alice Cooper, and Chris Cornell. Because Ben and I also love music, and I'm also like a lyricist. And yeah, we just wanted to name him after our favorite musicians. And it was funny because when we rescued him, we told the woman who was his foster, like, "Oh, we want to name him after rock stars." And she was like, "Oh, I already named all these puppies after rock stars. He's Cooper for Alice Cooper." And I was like, whoa, that's okay. There you go. Another interesting sign.
Right.
Yep.
When I was putting the promo on, I was thinking about using your Soundgarden or Lincoln Park. I always remember like your dog's name. Like it's just, I don't know, it just sticks with me.
Yeah, it's funny. A good one,
Yeah. I'm sure he missed you when you came this way.
Oh yeah, he was not very happy with me, and I'm about to leave again later next week, so he's going to be upset at me again, but he'll get over it.
Yeah, it's the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I'm definitely rooting for you. That's kind of like the questions I just went through. We walked through your journey, like where you started, the transition over. I've learned some things for sure, going through this, and then like kind of like your next steps, and then what you would tell, the future generations. Do you like before we get to like the closing like notes and everything like that, do you have like anything that like you want to add to this, like at all, like in particular?
I mean, for me, it's kind of just people need to just believe in themselves and go after their dreams, and you can honestly do or be anything you want. You just have to really go after it. That's what I did, and you can do it. Just like you were saying earlier, like don't let fear get in your way, and just have your goals, and just believe in yourself, honestly.
Right. And people will think like, oh, it's a cliche thing to say. It really is. It really comes down to that. You have to have the belief in yourself. Like, and a lot of people, you know, they struggle with that. But if you believe in yourself, you know, sky really is the limit. Like it's, you know, so super proud of you. I'm excited to see where your journey goes from here. Like I said, keep that fingers crossed for that EGOT for you to get that. And yeah, even like the whole Men in Blazers thing that's going on, it seems super cool. I know you got Mia working with it too, like all the FIFA stuff that's going on. Shame USA couldn't put on a better performance against Belgium the other night. They looked really, really flat, but I'm not gonna lie, if they were
honestly,
yeah,
Norway.
yeah, they look bad. I was gonna say, if I personally think they would have played Spain tomorrow, I think that's the furthest they would have got, and Spain's really, really good. So yeah, but the whole Men's with Blazers thing's cool too. Like Jordan Mailata is a part of that, right?
He was on one of our shows. Yeah,
one of the shows. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
No, it's been great. I love sports, so I honestly couldn't be happier to be doing this right now. And I also played soccer for 16 years growing up. So this is like a pretty big deal for me. I'm very happy to be a part of this, honestly.
Yeah. And honestly, like where it's at right now in the US, like the whole FIFA World Cup thing going on, like it just doesn't happen like that. It's every 4 years and it's all over. It's just all different countries. So
it's been really beautiful to see all the different cultures and countries come together. Like we really needed this for sure. So it's been making me very happy.
Definitely. Yeah, I've seen people like I have a very diverse friend group. So like my one buddy who was on the podcast last week, he's Haitian. So a lot of Haitian community when Haiti was still in the group stage before they got eliminated. You know, I know people from Ghana. My one buddy, he's Albanian, but like obviously they didn't make the tournament. But it's just cool to see like, you know, everybody just come together. You see people from all over the world coming in. So it's cool.
Yes, it's beautiful. It really is.
But definitely rooting for you going forward. You know, I'm going to continue to I'm curious. I'm interested to see what you got in store going forward. I know probably a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, I'm happy I was able to get you on, go kind of through your journey and everything like that. Starting through Philly, Temple, Cherry and White.
Yes.
Everything like that. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to come on, Sarah. And yeah, I guess I'm good with wrapping up here. Let me just check Facebook to see comments. We had a lot of people that viewed, liked, and stuff like that. So, Fran, thanks for liking. Had a couple other ones too. Mario liked. A lot of times, like I said, sometimes people will comment on the on like the rewatch and stuff like that. So, everybody that watched, appreciate you. Joy, everybody else that was kind of locked in here. Let's see. I always like to check Facebook though, like before I log off, just so I don't miss anybody. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. What time? So over there, it's about to be 8:30 here. I guess it's 5:30 over there.
5:26.
5:26. A lot different, but yeah, you know, obviously we'll be in touch, cousin. So you said you'll be on the East Coast. You know, you'll be back
next week.
Okay.
So if you want to come, the show's in New York on Sunday.
Okay. Next Sunday?
Next Sunday. Not yet. This next. Yep.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I'll be in touch with you for sure. But yeah, I wish you the best of luck. You're welcome back anytime. And just want to say, have a great night and thank you for your time again.
Thank you. You too. Have a good night.
All right. Take care. Everybody else, have a great night, great weekend. See you next week for episode 260. Take care.